Welcome everyone. Go ahead and sit in Swastikasana and pull your feet in close. Take your hands and turn the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. Take your hands and move your calf flesh up toward the ceiling. And then turn your thighs from the inside out. And remember, the technique we've been using is to squeeze with both hands the flesh to the bone, and then turn from the top, and then from the middle of the thigh, and you can even do closer to the knee if you feel like you need that. And then do the same thing on the other side. Really squeeze and turn, squeeze and turn. And you should feel that that brings your sitting bones a little bit closer together, and you should automatically feel a lift that comes into your chest. Then go back to the base and press the tops of the feet down and energetically lift your ankles up, and you'll feel firmness come into the outer hips and more lift come up into the chest. Then lengthen up from through the side ribs all the way up into the armpits. Maintain that height of the side body as you roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades closer together on your back, away from the neck and into the center of the body so that the chest opens more. And remember that end of the center of the body you can think of as almost more of like a diagonal movement. So you're actually moving from the lower shoulder blades up to the center of the chest, but also from the lower shoulder blades out to the edges of your collarbone so that the chest gets both lifted and also broad. And see if you can bring your shoulder blades closer together again, away from the neck, and one more time into the center of the body in those three vectors. Then, keeping your chest well lifted and broad, close your eyes and fold your palms together to your heart. You can take your glasses off for the opening Oms. Before we just work with your breath a little bit. So from the inhalation, make yourself taller from the tailbone all the way up through the head. Keep that height, and as you exhale, move the prana, or the energy of the breath, outward toward your side ribs and armpits. Inhale, make yourself tall. Keep that height. Exhale, make yourself broad. Inhale, extend yourself. Exhale, expand yourself. Use the breath to create additional inner spaciousness. So you should feel space and a sense of lightness coming into the inner body. That inner lightness acts like almost like a magnet for the mind, so that even just creating that sense of inner spaciousness begins that process of drawing the mind from the outer world toward the inner world. We can facilitate that process further by watching the exhalation. So on the inhalation, you keep your chest well lifted and broad, but now turn your awareness more to the exhalation. Follow the exhalation with your mind, like it's a pathway or a thread that you can follow from the outer world toward the inner world, that inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Use your exhalations to take your awareness there. Then to further culture the mind toward this involution of consciousness, focus on the pause that comes after each exhalation. Let the mind take on the qualities of that pause, so that the mind becomes more serene, more sattvic, more still. And from that still place within, let's chant 3 Oms together. Follow that sound with your mind. Follow the reverberation of the sound with your mind. And from that space of quietude, inhale once more. Keep your chest well lifted and broad as you bring your chin down to your chest and your hands down to your thighs with your palms up. And then raise your head and open your eyes. And you can put your glasses back on. Stretch your legs out in front of you into Dandasana. And then bring your opposite leg in. So whichever leg you brought in first, bring the opposite leg in. Again, come into Swastikasana. So that means you're going to pull your feet in closer to the blankets that you're sitting on. Take your hands and turn the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling, and you can use your thumb on the big toe base joint to push them down a little bit more. Then take your hands and move your calf flesh up toward the ceiling, and that should make it a little more comfortable to have this tight cross. Use your hands again and squeeze the thigh flesh, and then turn the flesh and the bone. And you can do that up near the top of the thigh, the middle of the thigh, and down near the knee. I don't like it as much down near the knee myself, but I do like it up at the top thigh and the middle thigh. I get a lot out of that. And you're really squeezing, so you're really moving not just the skin, not just the flesh, but actually trying to get down to the bone itself so that femur bone turns. And then sometimes after I do that, I feel like I need to actually readjust my calf flesh again. So I just did that. All right. I had this interesting experience yesterday where I took a yoga class by a teacher in India named Gulnaz, and it was hosted by the BKS Dallas studio. And it was at 8 a.m. our time, which means it was around 8 or 8:30 their time. And it was very fun, but also very surreal. But I'm going to teach you part of the sequence that she taught. It was really simple, but really effective. And so it was really neat. But part of that will involve a lot of standing on one leg. So you may want to get near a wall if you're finding that balance is an issue for you. Okay, all right, so bring your right arm up, okay, and then take your hand and turn your tricep from the outside in. So it goes toward your face. Then keep turning the tricep from the outside in, but turn your palm to face toward me. Okay, and spread your palm well like you're gonna do downward facing dog because we're getting ready to do downward facing dog. And then bring that arm down. Then reach your left arm up. Take your other hand and turn the tricep from that outside in. And again, remember to squeeze also. So squeeze with your hand so that the skin goes to the flesh and the flesh goes to the bone. And then you're turning, and it's a little bit more of an effective turn. Then maintain that turn of the upper arm as you turn your palm to face toward me. Spread your palm well, like you're doing downward facing dog. And then bring your hands all the way back down and lift your chest well. And go back to your base, press the feet down and lift the ankles up. It's like your femur bones in and lift up through the side ribs and then reach both hands up. Really reach through your ring fingers so you begin to get that extension through the sides of the torso and the armpits like you would get if you're doing downward facing dog. Then keep turning your triceps from the outside in as you turn your palms to face toward the center of the room. Or toward me. All right. Then you can just flop over on your knees if you want. Okay. Move your blankets out of the way. Just turn, and then put your hands on the floor, right underneath your shoulders. Spread your palms well. From your elbow, press through the thumb and the first finger. Maintain that pressure on the floor as you turn your triceps from the outside in. Then turn your toes under and push yourself back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog. Just going to turn to the side so you can see, hopefully a little bit better. Push back into downward facing dog. Maintain that pressure of the hands on the floor and come up onto the balls of the feet. Really push and push on the balls of the feet, push through the big toe base joint and lift your buttocks up a little bit higher than you might normally do. Then as much as you can, maintain that height of the buttocks. You'll lose some of it, but roll over the balls of the feet and reach those heels back toward the floor. They don't have to go to the floor, particularly not immediately. That was actually one of the points that Gulnaz made. Sometimes we're too quick to bring our heels down and then we lose some of the muscular integrity of the leg. So for the first 2 or 3 downward facing dogs, it is really fine to not have your heels all the way down. All right, and then walk forward till your feet are in Uttanasana. Make your feet be about hip width apart, and then just stay in Uttanasana for a little while. Lift up through your quadriceps, turn your thighs from the outside in so that the back of the thighs spread. And let the sides of the torso release down toward the floor. All right, then put your hands down on the floor. Bend down, put your hands down on the floor, and then walk back to downward facing dog again. We're going to do this 2 or 3 times. We're going to go back That was one time, so 2 more times. We're going to go from downward facing dog to Uttanasana. So check in at the base with your hands and make sure your thumb and your first finger are pressing down firmly, and turn those triceps from the inside out. Sorry, from the outside in, the biceps turn from the inside out. Then you should feel your collarbone get broader. All right, then come up onto the balls of the feet. You can really lift the heels high so the buttocks get even higher. And the higher, but try not to move the weight of the pose into your arms. Okay, you want to keep the weight back, but lift the buttocks up high. Keep pressing through the big toe base joint and the big toe itself, and then push with your hands down and forward as you reach your heels back toward the floor. Push through your top thighs and extend from the buttocks to the heels. Feel that additional length that's coming into the side ribs and the armpits. As you exhale, observe how your abdomen draws in a little bit more, and you can push your top thighs back still more. Then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips, another Uttanasana. This time you can actually hook your elbows in your thumbs and extend the sides of the torso down even more. If that feels too much on your hamstrings for anyone doing it that way, you can keep your hands on the floor. But you're actually trying to use the weight of the body as a means of getting more length in the spine. One of the sequences that Christina and I were doing had Uttanasana in it, and the teacher, I think it was another senior teacher, her name is Raj Lakshmi, she was saying that Mr. Iyengar used to have you put up on like a chair or a stool, and then he would have a weight attached to the elbows like this, and so there would be literally additional weight pulling you down. So see if you can actually push with your thumbs into your elbows, okay, so that you actually get more and more and more length going down toward the floor. All right, then release that elbow hook, place your hands on the floor again, press through the thumb and the first finger and turn your triceps again, and then go back to downward facing dog. And see if each successive downward facing dog, do you have a little bit more ability to press down through the thumb and the first finger? Do you have a little bit more ability to move the weight of the pose back? Now, keeping your weight of your pose back, this time you want to come up on the balls of the feet, but observe when you do that, there's a tendency for the weight to move back forward toward the hands, right? So don't do that. So you have to make sure that you're still pressing through the thumb and the first finger, but you are trying to get additional height in the buttocks. So you can really go ahead and lift the buttocks up. You could even try and tip your buttock bones up toward the ceiling a little bit. So draw your abdomen in as you do that. Okay. And keep pushing your hands down and forward as you move your top thighs back, and now reach your heels down toward the floor one more time. I mean, we'll probably do it more than once. Good, I can see you're getting lots of extra length in the sides of the torso. All right, then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back. And then come all the way up to Tadasana. Stand in Tadasana, facing toward the screen. Spread your toes well, like we've been working on in downward in the Dandasana. Pretend like we have the brick on the toes last week. Now you just push each toe into the other toe and spread your other toes wide apart. Now move your buttocks down, draw your abdomen in and up. Lengthen up through your side ribs. Make yourself as tall as you can through the side ribs. And then roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades closer together on your back, away from the neck. And then do that 3 vector in toward the center of the body. So that from the lower tips of the shoulder blades, you're lifting up to the center of the chest. But you're also drawing like a diagonal vector outward too, so that the shoulder blade, the lift comes all the way into the outer shoulder blades. So you should feel both lift and broadness coming into the front collarbones. And if you take your awareness then back to the back of the shoulder blades, you'll feel how your shoulder blades are settling more onto the body. All right, this time stretch your arms out. We're going to do Urdhva Baddha. So hook your right finger over your left finger and then turn your palms toward me. And then extend from your elbows through your wrist bones. And try and extend more through the wrist bones to draw the elbows in than really pushing through the fingers themselves. Okay, the more you can work through the bone, the more you're gonna feel a deeper sense of stability coming into the joints. All right, then reach your arms all the way up into Urdhva Baddha and go back to the base and move your buttocks down toward your heels, draw your quadriceps up, lift up through the abdomen, lift up through the side ribs, and lift up through the wrists so you make yourself tall. Your shoulder bones can come up, but try and let your trapezius not get engaged in that upward lift. Even though it's an Urdhva pose, the shoulder blades still have to have that downward feeling. So auto for the shoulder, for the trapezius, and up for everything else. Lift up tall. All right, then release your finger interlace and bring your hands back to Urdhva Hastasana. Reach up through your ring fingers, then turn your palms down, and then really push with your hands through that air element. So as you push with your hands, you should feel that lift and the broadness of the chest come in. And then you can even kind of squeeze your upper arms against your torso a little bit, and you'll feel that connection of the shoulder blades coming in even a little bit more. Maintain the good lift of your legs. Do the second side, bring your hands out, put the left finger across over the other finger across, and turn your palms toward me. Extend from the elbows through those wrist bones as much as you can. And then reach your arms all the way up into Urdhva Hastasana. Make yourself tall. Sorry, Urdhva Baddha. Lift your buttocks down, press through the heels, lift up through the inner thighs, lift up through the side ribs. Feel how that abdomen draws very nicely into the spine as you do that. Then push a little bit more, then release your hands and stretch up into Urdhva Hastasana one more time. And then turn your palms the opposite way, and then push your palms all the way down through that air element. Use that, create resistance with the air element so that you really do feel this nice lift come into the chest. All right, so the next few poses that we're doing, we're gonna be standing on one leg. I personally have really been having a feeling of it's harder for me to balance. I think it's just one way that my body and mind are kind of coping with all the changes and everything. And so I'm just really letting myself take the support of the wall. Another thing that's nice about the wall is you get good feedback on your shoulder blades. And also we're going to be doing several different leg positions. Some are a little different than we might be used to. So when you have the wall, you also don't have to worry about balance, so you can focus more on the feeling within. All right, so the first one is we're just going to pull the legs straight up. And actually, this woman, Gulna, she referred to this as to Udhita Marichyasana. I think of it as the first stage of Udhita Hasta Padangusthasana, but it's just the stage where you bring one knee up, and then interlace your fingers like you did for Urdhva Baddha on your shin, kind of on the middle of the shin. You'll flex your feet or foot. Then the idea with using your hands here is that you both want to pull the knee up, but also pull the knee in towards, it's actually the thigh in toward you. So really maintain the stability of your standing leg, but use your hands to get that lift up in the knee, and then use your hands also to pull the thigh in closer to you. We do this work a lot in Supta Padangusthasana, but it's nice to do it here standing as well. And as I lift the knee up higher, I can actually automatically, from the beginning, begin to feel some opening coming into that front groin of the standing leg. All right, and then release that leg down. And then see, can you also feel that now because you lifted up and pulled in a little bit more than you might have, that there's more opening coming into the front groin. All right, then do it one more, we'll do it twice on each side. So here's second leg, first time. Okay, so lift the knee up as high as you can on its own. Then interlace your fingers with the opposite interlace, like you were getting ready to do Urdhva Baddha. Check back in at your base and make sure your standing leg is strong. Level your hips by moving the left hip away from the left armpit, and then use that strength of the arms to pull the knee up, but also to pull the thigh in closer toward your abdomen. And do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift the knee up higher, And then as you exhale, pull that thigh in closer to your abdomen. Make sure your standing leg is staying strong. And last time, inhale, move the knee up. And then exhale, pull your leg in a little bit more closer toward your abdomen. Feel the opening that's coming into the standing front groin. And when you release that leg down, you should feel a nice opening coming into the front groin of both legs and a little bit more that the abdomen is drawing in. And you should feel, as a result of those actions, more lift coming into the chest. All right, so second time, lift your leg up. Lift the knee up as high as you can on your own before you reach down and get with your hands. And hopefully you won't even have to reach down that much. As you get more flexibility in your ability to lift the knee up, you should really just be able to reach and get your shin. Make sure your standing leg stays as strong as possible. Move your right hip away from your right armpit and roll your shoulders back. And then really don't be afraid to use the strength of your arms and your hands. Okay, so lift the knee up on the inhalation. Maintain the stability of the standing leg, and as you exhale, pull the thigh in toward the abdomen. Inhale, lift the knee up, maintain, and then pull that thigh in and maintain the height of the chest. And then one more time, inhale, lift the knee up higher, really pull with your arms to make that happen. And then as you exhale, pull that thigh in closer to your abdomen. Observe the opening in the front groin, particularly if you're keeping your standing leg straight. And then observe what opening you get when you bring the leg down on the other side. And I really did, after that time, just feel myself get a little bit taller, a little bit more energy and vitality coming into the chest. All right, now maintain the stability as much as you can of your standing leg and lift your second leg up for the second time. Lift it up as high as you can without using your hands first. Just see if you can use the leg itself and the flexibility of the hip joint to do this. Karen and Marsha, you want to make sure when you're pulling in that you're not overdoing anything in your hip, all right? And that goes for everyone. Okay? So you don't want to overly compress, but you are trying to get pressure against the abdomen and the thigh. Move your left hip away from your left armpit and roll your shoulders back. Then on the inhalation, lift your knee up a little bit higher. And on the exhalation, pull your thigh into your abdomen. As you inhale, lift your knee up. As you exhale, pull your thigh into your abdomen a little bit more. One more time, inhale, lift the knee up. And as you exhale, pull that thigh into the abdomen a little bit more. All right, and release and bring that leg down and stand nice and tall in Tadasana. Feel the opening that comes into the front groin. Feel the lift that comes into the chest. Okay, this next one we do a lot of times in Supta Pannagusthasana, laying down, but I really had never done it standing so much until Gulnaz was teaching it. So the Udhita Marichyasana, the knee is more or less going straight up toward the ceiling. This next one is a little bit more like Vrikshasana, but not as wide as Vrikshasana. So your knee is going to go more out to your shoulder, and you're only going to hold on to the ankle. Okay, so you're going to use your hands on your ankle and pull out like that, okay? And you're still gonna pull up and in. Ready? Okay, so press down into your left heel and lift your knee up. Okay? Then lift the knee up high and see if you can get closer down toward your foot with both hands. Roll the shoulders back, level your hips, okay? And then angle the knee out so that really the knee is going on a trajectory out toward your outer shoulder. And you should feel a little bit more width and sensation of width coming into the standing leg, and a little bit different feeling of pressure as you pull the leg in. Okay, 2 more times, working with the breath. As you inhale, move the knee out. As you exhale, move the knee in. Sorry, up and then in. Inhale, move the knee up with your hands, and exhale, pull the leg in closer to your abdomen. Good, and then release that leg down. And see if you can just feel a slightly different sense of opening that comes into the front groin. So on the first one, I personally felt it more right around the inside of the pelvic bone. And now I'm feeling it a little wider out, not quite on the outside of the pelvic bone, but moving more out. So it's creating more width and opening across the abdomen as you begin to work with the knee differently. Okay. All right, so second side, first time. So lift the knee up. Lift the knee up high, so hopefully you can reach and get your ankle without leaning down too much. Now angle the knee out slightly as you move your hip away from the armpit. So the knee is kind of lined up with the outside of the arm of the shoulder. Okay. Keep your standing leg firm. Pull the knee up and pull the thigh in. Make sure your standing leg is straight and inhale, pull the knee up, and then exhale, pull the knee in. Inhale, move the knee up as you pull with your arms, and exhale, pull the thigh in. Good. And then release and come all the way down and stand into Tadasana, and just see if you can feel that effect. A little slightly different effect in the opening of the front groin. All right, then second time, first side. And inhale, move the knee up, press down into your standing heel as you move your knee up. And you're gonna reach and get your ankle. And then angle the knee out to the outside of the shoulder. Make sure your standing leg stays strong. Pull the knee up and pull the thigh in. Pull the knee up and pull the thigh in. Pull the knee up and pull the thigh in. And then bring that leg down and see how you're getting additional opening and also additional lift in the chest. All right, second time, second side. All right, so lift the knee up, lift it up high, so much that hopefully eventually you'll be able to reach and get your ankle without leaning over too much. Now angle the knee where it goes out toward the outer shoulder. Make your standing leg firm. Inhale, move the knee up. Exhale, pull the thigh in. Inhale, move the knee up and out. Exhale, pull the thigh in. Check and make sure your standing leg isn't giving way. Inhale, move the knee up. And exhale, move the knee in. Good, and then stand into Tadasana again. And feel out, so now that I'm standing after having done four rounds of this, some of the things that I'm observing is that I actually really do feel my outer thighs moving in, the outer thigh buttock. And that movement in is what Mr. Iyengar means by compacting the hips, that inscrutable instruction that he gives in Tadasana. But when the outer thighs move in, I'm also feeling that my inner thighs are coming together a little bit more nicely and firmly. And I also feel more lift coming into the chest. All right. So the next one is you're going to get big toe, okay? All right. So inhale, move the knee up. This time you take your hand and put and get your big toe. Okay. Everyone really should be able to get the big toe. You probably don't need a strap for this, but if you do, it's okay. All right, then remember how we hook the thumb over the two other fingers, so you make that big toe approved getting grip. And I'm feeling that my standing leg is bending a little bit, so I'm going to press through the heel, lift up through the inner thigh so the front groin opens. Move your left hip away from your left armpit and roll that shoulder back. Now as I pull on the big toe, I also have to push on the fingers with the big toe and extend through the big toe base joint. It's kind of like when we were in downward facing dog and I told you to push down through the big toe to lift up. You're doing that here too. Now, if you particularly extend through the big toe base joint, what happens then is I actually feel that this thigh moves in a little bit more toward the center. And then release that leg down. And again, just feel the effect in the groin and the hip. This one I actually feel a little bit more in the outer hip, but I still feel more opening coming into the groin. All right, keep your standing leg strong. First time, second side. Lift your knee up high, lift your knee up high. I actually get my heel on this side because this is a little harder to get for me. And then I hook with the thumb, hook with the two fingers on the bottom of the thumb, and then put your thumb over your other two fingers. Check in at your standing leg and make sure it's straight. Level your hip and move your right shoulder back. Pull on the big toe, but also push on the fingers with the big toe. And particularly when you push to the big toe base joint, you should feel your outer knee move toward the inner knee and your outer hip get a little firmer. And then release and bring that leg down. Stand in Tadasana. Feel the effect. All right, then we'll just second time, first side, getting the big toe. Okay, so lift your knee up. Take your hand on the inside of the thigh. Put the first two fingers underneath the big toe and then hook your thumb over the fingernails of the two fingers. Level your right hip by moving it away from the armpit and roll the right shoulder back so the sides of your collarbone stay broad. Now pull on the big toe. You definitely want to do that, but also push with your big toe against your fingers and then push through the big toe base joint. And you probably see, or you can feel in yourself, that my outer knee went more toward my inner knee and my hip compacted. And then give another good pull on the big toe and lift your chest well. And then bring that leg down as well. All right, then second time, second side. So lift your knee up high, lift your knee up high, and I'm giving a little boost with my heel so I can get the big toe more easily. Check back in at your base and make sure your standing leg doesn't give way. All right, then hook your thumb, 2 fingers underneath the thumb, thumb over the other 2, what are those called? Fingernails. Right, then really push on pull on the big toe. Okay, but also push with your big toe against your fingers, and then push through that big toe base joint and see how that brings the knee from the outside in a little bit more. And then bring your leg down and stand up in Tadasana. You can move a little bit away from the wall. Feel how your hips have drawn in. Feel how you have more and more and more ability to get opening in the front groins. All right, now for this one, you can move a little bit away from the wall. We're just going to do Urdhva Badanguliasana again, standing. So reach your arms out, interlace your fingers, turn your palms toward me, and then reach your arms all the way up into Urdhva Badanguliasana. Press down through those heels and lift up through the wrist bones. Let your trapezius release away from the neck. All right, then turn the fingers so that the finger like this, so flip your fingers back and lift up even more. And then from here, see if you can squeeze your palms together and come into Urdhva Namaskarasana. She didn't actually teach this, I just have extrapolated from that. And then lift your palms up and see if you can move your arms back behind you a little bit. Lift your arms up, hands up, and move your arms back. And then again, go down into that air element again. All right, then stretch your arms out again. Do the opposite interlace. Turn your palms to face toward me and straighten the arms. Then lift the arms up high. Press down through those heels. Lift up through the inner thighs. Feel your abdomen draw in as you reach up more and more and more through your wrists. All right, then turn your palms the other way and reach up. All right, then keep reaching up and see if you can join your palms together for Urdhva Namaskarasana. Join the palms and reach up through the ring fingers, make yourself tall. And then turn your palms and again, press through the air element. All right, this one was slightly different than what we normally do, how Gulna's taught it. Yeah. So normally I have you, when we do the fingers behind the back, which she did call Paschima Badanguliasana, I have you bend your elbows to get the lift in the chest. And normally we join the palms, but this time you're just gonna keep the palms open, okay, rather than joining them, but do stretch your fingers down toward the floor. Okay? Like someone actually, you had a helper who could actually have their 2 hands squeezing your wrists and was actually literally pulling down. So you're reaching those fingers down toward the floor. And when I do that, okay, I'm not trying to really so much pull the shoulder bones really, really down. But what I feel instead is actually a lift coming into the chest. Particularly if I pull down and lift up through those 3 vectors of lifting up here and outward toward your side chest. It should feel pretty good. And you should feel your shoulder blades come a little bit more firmly onto the back. All right, then release your fingers and do the same thing on the other side or the other finger grip. You do want to start with your elbows bent, so you really can get that lift coming into the armpit. Move the back of the armpit toward the front of the armpit. Then straighten your arms, but instead of closing the palms like we normally do, just keep your palms open like this and pull down. Reach with the tops of the fingers down toward the floor. And then work against that movement down by lifting up through the center of the chest and lifting up through those 2 side vectors outward toward the side edges of the collarbones. Keep the collarbones nice and broad. And then reach your arms all the way up. And see if you feel some additional lightness that actually comes into the sides of the body, the sides of the armpits. You can go back to your mat. We're going to do another couple downward facing dogs to Uttanasana. All right, so go back to your mat. Place your hands down on the floor. You may feel when you place your hands down on the floor also that there's already a little bit more sense of stability or firmness in your ability to press through the thumb and the first finger, and then walk yourself back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So I find after having done that balancing work of standing on one leg that I feel I'm really enjoying having both legs doing the same thing in downward facing dog. As much as possible, keep your arms straight, which also should be easier to do after having done all that over the head arm work. Come up under the balls of the feet, but as you do that, or big toe base joint and the ball of the foot, as you do that, think back to that work that we did when we got the big toe. So like you were pushing your big toe into your fingers, now you're pushing your big toe into the floor. Okay, and then also we were pushing through that big toe base joint. So do both of those things and observe how the base joint work helps you to bring your outer hips in here as well. Okay, now keep your hips high. So now move the tops of the thighs back and up a little bit. So more and more and more you're feeling the weight come into the back, into the legs. And then see if your heels now come a little bit more readily to the floor. We've done this pose a few times now, so you should be feeling more and more that you're getting opening in the hamstring and bringing the weight back into the heels. All right, and then walk forward again to Uttanasana, but this time do Uttanasana with your feet together. So bring your legs all the way together. Press down into your heels and lift up through the thighs. And just observe the difference in Uttanasana in your legs, in the sides of the torso, and in the abdomen when you work with your legs together. Good, then bend your knees a little bit if you need to get your hands on the floor, and walk back one more time to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Keep pressing your hands down and forward as you bring the weight of the pose back into your legs. Everyone, you got to try walking your feet a little bit further back now. Now that, again, we're on our 6th or 7th downward facing dog. So you might have a little bit more ability to have a nice longer dog. When you have a little bit of a longer dog, what actually happens when you really work your legs and pull back is you should feel more and more opening coming into the side armpits and more length in the side ribs. And the little further back with the thighs you get, you should also feel your abdomen draw a little bit more readily into the thighs. Good. And then walk forward again until your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back. And then come all the way up back into Tadasana. And observe any transformation that's coming into your Tadasana. Are your legs continuing to draw in a little bit more readily? Is there a little bit more firmness in the outer hips and a little bit more lift coming into the chest? All right, now we're going to do full Vrikshasana. So I'm now moving a little bit away from the wall, so I have the room to bring my arms back if I can. The wall is still there if I need it for balance and stability. Okay. So Vrikshasana, you turn your leg significantly more out than we did in the other poses. Lift the knee up high, lift the knee up high, get the ankle like you did in that second stage, and then you're just going to try and get your heel as high on your thigh as you can. And one little technique you can use to do that is actually dig your toes in first and keep your heel away from the leg, and then see if by pressing down through that big toe base joint, you actually can get the heel a little bit higher on the thigh. Again, don't push that if it hurts your knee to bring it up too high. But again, there is this little indentation at the top of the thigh that if you can really get the heel up there, the heel and the foot will stay without slipping. Okay, so we're gonna just work the leg a little bit more here, and then we'll add the arms the second time around. Okay, so with your hand, you're gonna move from the inner groin through the inner knee. That's moving out. And then move the knee back toward the wall and observe how that movement back helps you bring the outer femur bone in. And then take your awareness to your outer heel and move from your outer heel to your inner heel, and that draws the outer hip in even more. Okay? We're gonna do that 2 more times. So lengthen out first, then move the knee back, and then the opposite side of that bone is the femur head, and that'll draw in a little bit more. Okay? And then move your outer heel toward your inner heel, and feel how that has an effect on the outer hip as well. And then last time, extend with your arm from the inner groin through the inner knee. That's lengthening out. Feel the opening that comes when you do that on the inner groin. And then push the knee back slightly and feel how the outer femur draws in. And then outer heel toward inner heel, and that even more outer facet of the hip draws in just a tiny bit more. And then release and bring that leg down. Then observe the effect. I actually feel taller on my side that I just did. I feel more opening in the groin, and I feel a little bit more rootedness in the heels. Now, you may not feel exactly what I'm articulating, but use that as an exhortation for yourself, observe what you're feeling. And then second side, first time, turn the leg out, extend through the standing heel and lift the knee up. Lift the knee up and get that ankle like we did in the second stage of Uddiyana Marichyasana. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually moving my knee a little further out and putting my toe in the big toe base joint on the inner thigh first. Then I push through that big toe base joint in the big toe and pull the heel in second. And when I do that, I get a little higher up on the top of the thigh so that my heel is actually hooked up into that little indentation in the top thigh. I forgot to say this on the first side, but move your thigh and your foot toward each other. So you feel more weight coming into the big toe side of your foot and more lift coming into the chest. Now we're going to use the hand to get a little bit more opening on the inner leg. Okay, so for it and the outer hip drawing in. Okay, they kind of work together. The more the outer hip is firm, the more opening you get on the inner groin. Okay? Or let's say a paired action. Okay. All right. You do one, the other one happens, but it's really the outer hip that facilitates the inner groin. That said, one of the Puna sequences we were working with said that extension out of the leg comes before the back, okay? So use your hand and extend from the inner groin through the inner knee. And you can use your hand again to gently press the knee back, and you'll feel how your outer femur bone draws in away from the wall if you're near the wall. And then from the outer heel toward the inner heel, move in that direction, and you'll feel the outer hip draw in even more. Do that 2 more times. As you inhale, extend with your right hand and move the knee out. And then as you exhale, move the knee back toward the wall and suck the femur bone in. And then take your awareness to your outer heel and move from the outer heel toward the inner heel. One more time, move the knee out with your hands, so you're extending from the inner groin to the inner knee, and then move the knee back and feel how your outer femur bone draws in, and go outer heel toward inner heel and feel how it draws in even more. And then bring that leg back down, and then again, stand in Tadasana. Feel the openness that comes in your front groin as you feel more ability to draw those outer hips in. When those 2 things happen in concert with each other, automatically you should feel some more lift coming to the chest. All right, so now full Vrikshasana, going even toward Namaskarasana if you can. So turn your leg out, second time, first side. Okay, so lift your leg up high, lift your leg up higher still, lift your leg up so high that you can reach and get your ankle, and then hook, you see if it works for you to hook your toe first. And then push to the big toe base joint of the thumb and bring your heel in a little bit closer. Push your thigh and your foot against each other. Lengthen out and suck the femur bone in. And reach your arms up for Urdhva Hastasana. And as you reach up for Urdhva Hastasana, feel that opening that comes in the groin. Feel that abdomen draws in toward the spine. And feel the lengthening and the opening in the armpits and the rib cage. Then if you can join your palms, do so. Press your palms against each other. And move your arms up and then back. Press down into your heels and move your arms up and back. It's kind of like the lengthening out first and the drawing of the abdomen in second. Okay, so create length first and then move back. Length first and then move back. And then try and keep as much height in the side ribs as you can as you bring your knee back down to Tadasana. Again, I'm feeling really even more movement toward the outer upper collarbone from having had my hands above my head. And turn your leg out the other, second time, second side. Keep your standing leg strong as you lift the knee up high. Lift the knee up higher still. Lift it up so high that maybe you can get your ankle without leaning down too much. Then move the knee a little bit more out to the side. Hook your toe into the thigh first, and then push through that big toe in the base joint as you bring your heel up to the very, very top of the thigh. Move your outer knee toward outer heel toward your inner heel so you feel that femur bone draw in. Now let's add the arms. Reach the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana first. And as you reach up, you should reach up so much that you do feel that opening coming into the front groin and your abdomen drawing in and up. Really lift up. Then if you can, join your palms into Urdhva Namastarasana, do so. And then press down through both heels and reach the arms up. Really reach up and become a taller tree. Reach up and then move back. Reach up and then move back. Reach up and move back one more time and really reach up and feel yourself getting taller and how that abdomen draws in toward your spine the more you reach up. And maintain as much length in the side ribs as you can as you bring your leg all the way back down and then stand into Tadasana. Observe the effect of your work. Observe it both on the physical level, but also on the emotional or the psychological level. Do you feel a little bit more calmer, a little bit more rooted to the ground, a little bit more upliftment in the chest? Okay, for this next one, you will might need a strap. Okay, we're doing the full, this Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. So we're going to stretch the leg out. You might need a strap. So if you can't keep your leg straight while you're holding your big toe, you can go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to use a strap. Okay. All right, so I have a little loop with the strap, not a huge loop. Okay. But if your hamstrings are very tight, you can have a slightly bigger loop, but don't make a super big loop. The smaller the loop you can use, the better, because then it's easy. It's more like lifting your big toe, okay, the closer you're into your foot. Okay. So I'm going to put the strap on the ball of the foot. I don't need this much loop, so I'm making a loop a little bit smaller. But remember how in the first stage of Urdhva Matsyendrasana, we pulled with the arm and lifted the knee up. You want to do that here too. Pull on the belt so that your knee goes up. Keep your standing leg strong. Now here's your knee. When you kick your foot out, it's actually an out and up, or think more up than out, because ideally your foot should end up higher than your knee. Even if it's just aspirational, don't think of just kicking out. Think about kicking from your buttocks up with your foot higher than your knee. Then level your hips and keep your standing leg strong. And then pull your foot further up with your arm. From the buttocks, extend through the heel and pull your foot higher up with your arm again. Good, and then you can bend your knee and then come back down and stand in Tadasana. And feel the rootedness in the heel, feel the openness in the groin, feel the lift in the chest. All those things happen just by working one leg. It's really pretty remarkable. All right, second time, first side. Lift the knee up, straight up like that first Utthita Marichyasana stage. And then this time put the strap on the arch of your foot. You can put it different places, but I'm liking the arch of my foot right now. Okay, so I do pull that knee up first. I keep extending through the big toe base joint, even though the strap is on the bottom arch of my foot. And then the knee is here. Whatever level your knee is at, that's where it's at. Don't lose the height of the knee as you kick your foot up higher than your knee. Press through your standing heel and level your hips. And then see if you can pull on that strap with your arm and get your foot up even higher than your knee. Again, even if it's only aspirational, try and extend. I mean, only aspirational is not nothing, right? We have to aspire to get to where we want to go. All right, and then pull a little bit more. See if you can just coax a little bit more length out of that hamstring. All right, then bend your knee and then come back down and stand in Tadasana and feel that more even effect. And I also am now feeling even more, again, my hips are drawing in after each rotation also. I'm feeling myself grow taller still. I could put a little mark on my rope wall and I could probably measure myself getting taller incrementally. Okay, so second time, first side. This time I'm gonna actually say goodbye to my strap and use the big toe. If you need to use your strap, you still use your strap. Okay, root down through your left heel as you lift your right knee up. On the inside of your knee, get your big toe, like we did the first time around. Extend through the big toe through the fingers, and then extend through the big toe base joint. Now your knee is wherever it is. Yeah. Pull your knee up a little bit higher, and try and kick your foot up higher than your knee. Root through your standing heel, move your hips down, and then pull the leg up higher. Use your fingers against your thumb and pull the whole foot up. Pull against your big toe and roll that shoulder back, but also extend through the big toe and the ball of the foot as you're pulling back with your hand. And then bend the knee down, and then come back into Tadasana. And again, observe the effect. With this observation, I'm actually now feeling that finally the yoga is beginning to penetrate a little bit into my brain also. And I'm feeling a new quietude coming into the brain, even as I'm talking to you. Okay, so second time, second side. Lift your knee up high. Lift your knee up high. See if you can get your big toe, or you can continue to use your strap. Root down through the standing right heel. Level your hip by moving the left hip away from the armpit. Now, when you press through that big toe base joint, you'll feel your outer knee move toward your inner knee. Right, wherever your knee is, that's where your knee is. But what you're trying and attempting and inspiring to do is to kick the foot up higher than the knee. Extend from the buttock to the heel. Now actually use your thumb or your strap and lift the foot up higher. Level your hips. Now pull back against your big toe with your hand to bring the shoulder back, but at the same time extend through the big toe and the big toe base joint and see if you can pull your leg up still higher. Good, and then bend your knee, come down, and then stand in Tadasana. Observe the effect. Feel the quietude that comes. All right, last standing on one leg pose today is Parsvarhita Hastapadangusthasana. So that's where you kick your leg out to the side more. Okay, so you're gonna lift your knee up like you did. You can still use the strap. Okay. Get the big toe or put the strap around the ball of the foot. Now this time, move your knee out way more toward the side. So it's like that the third stage I think we did standing, where the knee is on the outside of the shoulder. Still your knee is high, it's at whatever level's at. Level your hips, but when you kick your foot out, follow that trajectory up and outward. So you're extending the leg out. Extend, you can hold on to the wall like some of you are doing. Now the more you extend your leg out, you should feel that that weight pulls on the hip in and you move more onto the outer facet of your standing leg. Good. All right, then bend that knee, turn it back to the center, come all the way down. Stand in Tadasana. We'll do second time, first side. So lift the leg up. Either put the strap around the arch of the foot, or you can experiment with the ball of the foot. You can experiment with the heel. Each one of those has a slightly different effect on the foot and on the hip. Then move the knee way out to the side. Suck both hips in so you get taller. Your knee is where it is. Okay. Keep it at that height as you kick your foot out and up higher than the knee. The more you extend through the big toe and the big toe base joint, it should pull the weight more onto the ball of the foot of your standing leg, and it should draw your outer hip in as well. All right, then bend the knee and come down. Stand in Tadasana. Observe the firmness of the outer hips, the lift in the chest, and the quality of the breath and the quality of the brain. All right, second time, second side. This time I'm actually gonna grab my outer little toe side of my foot, but I still extend through the big toe side of my foot, and then I'm gonna kick out to the side. I kind of like doing this way because it's easier on the poor big toe, but also you can pull with your fingers on that little toe side of the foot and you'll feel your outer femur bone draw in still more. Now extend through the big toe side of the foot so you can feel your outer hip draw in, and you'll get even taller still. And then bend the knee, and then stand down into Tadasana, or stand up into Tadasana actually. Feel the rootedness in the heels. Feel the firmness in the hips. Feel the opening in the front groin. Feel the abdomen drawing in. Feel the chest lifting. Feel the brain drawing in. All right, last standing pose for today. Go. All right. Reaching at the little toe side of your foot. There you go. Now, when you're pulling the little toe side of the foot, you still have to extend through the inner foot, just like you were working with the big toe and the strap before. Move the knee out to the side. You'll feel your outer hip draw in. Keep both outer hips firm, and then stretch your leg out and up to the side. Pull on that little toe with your fingers. Extend through the inner foot and the big toe the whole time. And then bend your knee, come down, and stand in Tadasana. Feel the quietude that comes. So we're moving toward the inversion part of class. That inner quietude is even more, let's say, facilitated through an inversion practice. So yeah, I just have made the decision not to actually teach Shirshasana in this format. So if you don't already know how to do Shirshasana, or if you shouldn't be doing Shirshasana, you're going to repeat one of the first 3 poses we do before Shirshasana. Again, those options are Uttanasana with head support, downward facing dog with head support, or Prasarita Padottanasana with head support. We're all going to do all 3 of those poses before the Shirshasana doers do Shirshasana. And those 4 poses, Uttanasana, downward facing dog, Prasarita Padottanasana, and Shirshasana, are the first 4 poses on the immunity sequence. And 3 of them are also on the emotional stability sequence, though in a slightly different order. Okay, and so they're just good to do. All right. And then we're going to end with something like Sarvangasana. Okay, so just as I know we've been doing this a fair bit. If you do happen to, we're able to manage to get 2 extra bricks, or if you have 2 bricks, you know, if you need 2 bricks here, just want to show something and have you in some ways feel something, all right? You can certainly do Uttanasana with your elbows interlaced, okay? But in terms of creating more opening in the chest region, and that's also very good for immunity and emotional stability, it's actually nice to keep your hands out wide and high, all right? So I actually have 1 brick for my head, and again, just as a reminder, the brick goes on the very crown of the head, the part of the head that you would be standing on for Shirshasana. Okay. And then when you fall down, you can keep your hips apart. If you can put your other hands also up on bricks, and see how they're out wide, and my elbows are out wide also. When I'm in this position with my hands, it gives me a feeling of broadness across the collarbones, and it's a little bit also easier to kind of lift the shoulders up. You can play with the height. And again, you know, you don't have to, I mean, I just happen to have more props than many yoga studios do, but you don't have to have all the props. In fact, you can have books and you can stack up books. And I just found when I was reorganizing everything, there was a time in my life where I wanted a half brick, but I didn't want to pay for one, all right? Now I have half bricks. And so what I did, this is a small little telephone book, and I wrapped it in duct tape. And so if you want a little home yoga improvement project, you could find maybe an old phone book somewhere, and you can put duct tape on it, and then you can make specially designated blocks for yourself, and it costs you almost nothing, right? The cost of a little bit of duct tape, or a cost of a book you're not reading, or a phone book if you still have phone books, right? Okay, but all that aside, do some form of Uttanasana. okay? If you do have the ability to raise your hands up, great. If you don't, it's okay. It's just when your hands are lower, the shoulders tend to drop down. So you have to really make sure that you're pushing with your fingertips and lifting the shoulders up, okay? The immunity sequence says stay 3 to 5 minutes. We're not going to stay quite that long, but we are going to aim at staying a good minute, maybe a minute and 15 seconds, all right? So you've already been in the pose a little bit. Good. And as you stay in the pose, you just observe the effect, and you can switch the position of your arms and see, can you feel a kind of difference depending on the position of your arms? Okay, we're going to stay another 25 seconds or so in the pose. And in this last part of the pose, observe how you feel while you're in the pose. What's stretching, what's overstretching, what is your state of mind while you're actually in the pose? And then as you come out of the pose, you can bring your hands to your hips, roll your shoulders back and come up and stand in Tadasana. Observe the effect of that pose after you come out of the pose. What does your chest feel like? What does your brain feel like? What does your consciousness feel like? Okay, so that's Uttanasana. That is one option if you're not a Shirshasana doer. The second one is a head-supported downward facing dog. And where you place your head, you can place that crown of the head on the floor. It's actually a good preparation for a headstand, but it's a little more rajasic in terms of how you would do downward facing dog. So in terms of the emotional stability and the immunity sequence, it's actually, I think, better to aim the brick right at the top of the forehead. Okay? So that's where you want the brick to be. Then to get into downward facing dog with head support, what I find is most helpful is to take my glasses off, but I keep my head looking forward as I go into the pose. Okay? So I keep looking forward with my head as I push my weight as far back as I can. And with my head looking forward and my weight back into my legs, then I just hang my head so that the head actually gets, it lands right on the support. Okay. One brick for me is actually a little bit high. Okay. So I could change it out for my 2 half bricks and it would be slightly better. Okay. But you just experiment with what you need. Okay. Might be a fun. And then you're just going to come into head supported downward facing dog. You still have to do the work of the arms and the work of the legs. But we've done a lot of downward facing dog today, so your body already knows what to do. Also, if you're doing the immunity sequence, this pose also, you would stay for like 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. We're not going to stay quite that long today. We're probably going to stay just like 2 minutes. But because your arms and legs have done this pose already, like, I don't know, probably 10 times a day, would you say? Instead, so now you can assume that your arms and legs know what to do. So as you stay in this downward facing dog, turn your awareness to how you feel in the pose. And that how you feel could be, how does your chest feel? How do your internal organs feel? How does your brain feel? How does your consciousness feel? Observe the effect while doing. We're going to stay another 20 seconds in the pose. And in those remaining seconds, also then consciously work with your breath. On the inhalation, you're extending. On the exhalation, feel how the abdomen draws in more. And you should also feel your brain draw in a little bit more too. All right, then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back. You can come all the way up and stand in Tadasana. And just like we did after Uttanasana, observe the effect that your downward facing dog has on you. I very much feel that my front brain is moving toward my back brain. In Uttanasana, I feel a little bit more just like the brain moves from the outer sides of my head a little bit more inward. I mean, I know the brain is not actually moving. It's just a experience of release. All right, the third pose that we're going to do that's also a replacement for Shirshasana when we get there is Prasarita Padottanasana. Again, you want to find a way to support the crown of the head if your head doesn't go to the floor. I also really suggest, though it's not like this on the actual sequence, but you know, the classic head position for Prasarita Padottanasana is head here and your hands are in Shirshasana 2. But I actually personally like to do it with my hands getting my ankles because it's that same feeling of having your hands up on bricks and you get more width across the collarbones and more broadness across the shoulder area. And I feel like that helps with breathing a lot more. Okay, so Prasarita Padottanasana. And you can experiment for yourself when you go into it. Feel what it feels like when you're in the classic Shirshasana 2 hand position. Then observe what happens to your collarbones and your breathing region when you reach your arms out to get your ankles. Okay, so go ahead and come into Prasarita Padottanasana. You can work through the concave stage like looks like some of you already are. But you want to find where you can get your head supported. That may be a brick or 2 bricks or a brick and a half, a bunch of blankets, whatever works for you. And then make the investigation of the difference in across the collarbones in regular Shirshasana 2 hand position, and then with your hands grabbed out by your ankles. And you might not, it might not be the same for you. You might like the classic one better. I like the width and the broadness that comes with the hands out wide. We're going to stay another 20 seconds or so. So make sure you turn your awareness and your investigation into not just your arms and your legs, but what do you feel like in the pose? What's your inner experience of the pose? Then place your hands on the floor. Place your hands on your hips and then roll your shoulder bones back as you come out of the pose. And then stand in Tadasana and observe the effect of Prasarita Padottanasana. One thing that I'm feeling, though I didn't do it for very long, but one thing I am actually feeling is that my eyes drew a little bit more inward. All right, so if you are a Shirshasana doer, now is the time to do Shirshasana. You can do it at the wall. You can do it in the middle of the room. If you are not a Shirshasana doer for whatever reason, ranging from you don't know how, you have a neck injury, you're on your cycle, you have glaucoma, then you do one of those 3 poses that we just did again, okay? So everyone go ahead and do your Shirshasana. Then we'll do brick Satyabandha, legs up the wall pose, and maybe Shavasana, maybe all 3 of those, okay? Just gonna do a brief Shirshasana. And you interlace your fingers, press your forearms down, lift your shoulders up, move your buttocks up toward your heels. And go through that same experience of what is Shirshasana? What is your inner experience of Shirshasana? Yes, you have to do all of that outer work. Yes, you really have to press the forearms down and extend from the inner elbow through the fingers. Yes, you have to lift your shoulders up. You've got to do that. That's got to be there. So does the work of the legs. That has to be there too. And so some of your awareness, yes, has to go into that constant exhortation to do those things. But at some point, your body just knows how to do those things. And then you begin to say, what do I feel like when I'm doing Shirshasana? What's the effect of me on me doing the pose? How does my body feel? How does my breath feel? What does my mind feel like? All right, then we're going to come out of the pose. Again, this is one also when you're doing it on your own, 3 to 5 minutes is what we're after. But, it's a long process to get a longer Shirshasana. So it's not something that you can do just all at once. Say, I'm going to get it out. You aim for a minute, and you aim for a minute 30 seconds. You aim for 2 minutes, and all of that takes a while. All right, and then press your forearms down, lift your shoulders up, and then everyone come out of the pose. Shirshasana doers, you can rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. The people not doing Shirshasana can also rest in Adho Mukha Virasana for just a few minutes. That's also a very soothing pose for your brain. All right, looks like we're going to have time for brick Setu Bandha and then Shavasana. So you're going to get your brick. And then again, what you're going to do brick Setu Bandha is you have to tuck your shoulders underneath you, come up onto the balls of the feet and really push down through those balls of the feet and the big toes so you can get your buttocks up high. And if you don't have a brick, or if the brick is too tall, you can use a lower brick or blocks. And then you're going to tuck your shoulders underneath you and interlace your fingers again like we did in Paschimma Baddha and pull the fingers toward your heels so you get more opening and broadness in the collarbones. Go ahead and close your eyes. And feel the effect that this Jalandhara Bandha has on your brain. It is a very inward turning pose. It's partly just because the head is in Jalandhara Bandha. And also when your head's in Jalandhara Bandha, the stimulation and support is really on the back of the brain. All right, so headstand was at the very crown of the head, downward facing dog. We worked with the kind of forehead. Here we're really working on that experience of the back brain against the floor. It's used, often you can work with a blanket underneath your head. But just close your eyes and again observe the effect of the pose while you're in the pose. And then push down through the big toes and lift yourself up again. Take the brick out of the way. And as you lower your heels down, move your buttocks toward your feet. Stretch your legs out, stretch your arms out, and come into Shavasana. Let your eyes release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. Unclench your jaw. Let the back of the throat release. Let the sides of the throat release. Let the base of the throat release. Let your ears draw inward. Completely relax the features of your face. Become quiet within. Like we did at the beginning of class, use your exhalations to draw your awareness more deeply into this experience of Shavasana. So that more and more and more through your practice of yoga, you come to dwell in that seat of your own true splendor. Be in that space. Abide there. Now from that seat of your true self, from the space of your own true splendor, inhale. Use your inhalations to bring that awareness of your true self with you as you go about your work in the world. Place your hands on your rib cage, bend your knees, roll over to your right side, and use your hands to press yourself back up. Sit up straight and tall, lift your chest well, close your eyes and fold your palms together at your heart. Observe the effect that your practice has on you. Observe it on every layer of your being, from the physical to the most deeply spiritual. In gratitude to the benefit you receive from your practice of yoga, in gratitude to the people who have the opportunity to learn and study and practice yoga with, and in gratitude to the lineage of Hatha Yoga itself, is practiced by BKS Iyengar, reaching back to the sages of India, and down through a line of teachers and students to you, here on the mat in Austin, Texas. Bow. Namaste. All right, I'm gonna unmute all of you so you can say goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Anne. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good Saturday.
Chaya.
And thank you for doing standing Padagusthasan postures.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bringing a lot. Yeah, I love it.
Bye, Laura.
Bye. Hi,
Bye, everybody. Have a nice
everybody.
Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone. Take care.
Easter.
Passover.
Bye,
Yeah.
Maya.
Hi, Laura.
Hello. Good to see you all.
Good to see you too.
Oh,
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Edith.
oh,
Bye.
big dog.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Bye, Bob.
Bye-bye.
All right. I'm ending the meeting. Hi, Dawn.
Bye, guys.
Good day. Thank you.
See y'all next Saturday. Bye.
Thank you, Anne.
You're welcome.